If you're ready, go.
Go.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Night Bible Study. Just wanted to say we haven't had class in a while. It's not that we haven't been on, we just haven't had class. About a month or so ago, we had one of our members pass away, and then we had several people sick. Then we've got several people down with bad backs. It's just been one of those times where Satan has really been attacking our class. And so we've tried to fight back. Last week we didn't have class, but we did kick off our Grab a Friend program, and that worked out really well. And so this week, even though our whole class is not back, we have 3 or 4 people back, and I feel like we're on our way. We're going to continue studying 1 Kings, and as you all know, whenever we meet at our class meets at 7 o'clock. I don't video till 8, but we meet at 7 and we have dinner. And while the people are eating dinner, I try to talk about something of substance. This week was mostly just housekeeping stuff. We talked about our annual project, which is going to be replacing windows in the parsonage, and how we can do that. Which, by the way, any of you out there in Facebook, if you have any connections with contractors or builders or hardware companies or something that would be willing to donate some windows, that would be awesome, because those are kind of expensive, and at the pace our little class is collecting money, it's going to take 25 years to replace them. So if anybody has any ideas, that would be great. Also, we talked about, hi Joe, glad you joined. Also, we talked about our Facebook shares. The last class we had was 2 weeks ago, and we had, I keep trying to tell everybody how important it is that they share the program. We had 13 shares, and our little class reached over 200 people. So I thought that was pretty awesome. So for those of you that are going to watch this in the future, please share our program. It really is important. It's just about reaching as many people as we can with the Word of God. We also talked about what else we could do for the Grab a Friend, and we decided that we're going to try to pursue getting some signs made for the church, outside of the church, so that on the day of Bible study class we could put them there. And then lastly, we did not talk about this, but I wanted to save this. A ministry here at Clementine Church called Angel Hope Ministry does a monthly food giveaway, and this month is coming up. This Friday from 6 until 8 o'clock. So if you're in the neighborhood, or even if you're not, there is no income limits. There is no limits. They ask that you bring bags, and your own bags and boxes to carry it. But just last month, they more than doubled the number of people that they reached. I thought that was fantastic. What a great ministry. And that's one of the 2 ministries that Jesus talks about in the New Testament, is housing the homeless and feeding the hungry. So I think that's a very, very great ministry. And for those of you that would like to participate in it, Clementine, what's the address here?
25.
It's just the main entrance of the fairgrounds. It's just south of that. I think it's Percy and 9th.
2075 North 11th.
2075 North 11th.
Block and a half south of the main gate of the fairgrounds.
Right, a block and a half south. So Friday night, 6 o'clock, show up, and there will probably be a line. There was last time, so get here early. But it's free food giveaway. It's a way to minister to the city of Springfield. It's a way to get the name of Clementine out in the public. And it's a way to do a great ministry. So come by and get your food. And if you can, I'm sure the people at Angel Hope Ministry would love for you to drop a dollar or two in their bucket or their jar or whatever they have going on down there. Because some of that food they have to pay for, and so every penny counts. And I think that's about all we had to talk about. Does anybody else have anything before we move on?
Well, we got free hot dog Sunday coming up.
Free Hot Dog Sunday, what's that about?
We were canvassing.
We're
Shannon's-
giving hot dogs away Samantha. It's for like after church something. And it is.
advertising our church.
Can you-
Shannon's gonna make a run around the neighborhood.
Oh, that'll be
Canvass
cool.
the block, canvass the block and invite people.
They're doing that May 6th. Shannon's Thursday lunch that day, which would be the 6th, be the 6th Sunday.
So is that the day that they're gonna do that after church on Sunday?
The 20th, it's when we're having the hot dog fest. Shannon and Gilg are gonna fix up a lunch and have people from the neighborhood and pass out flowers
On the 20th.
on the 6th.
On the 6th, they're gonna canvass the area, but on the 20th is the,
Hot
Okay,
dog
so they got a
fest.
free hot dog dinner on the 20th of this month,
May,
the
yeah.
20th of next month. And then on the 6th, they're gonna canvass the neighborhood and pass out flyers.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, hey, John. Jasmine, glad you guys joined. All right. So I think we got all the housekeeping stuff out of the way. We are studying in 1 Kings. Now, just for those of you that are jumping in here kind of in the middle, I want to just kind of bring you up to speed on how this is going to work. Throughout 1 Kings, now remember, Israel at this point has been divided. All right? There are 10.5 tribes in one part and 1.5 tribes in the other part. And throughout the history of this 1 Kings, there's only like 2 or 3 kings that do what is right in the eyes of God. The rest of them are evil. They do evil that is in the eyes of God. And you have to pay attention because they will, one is Israel and one is Judea. And they will jump back and forth without telling you. So if you don't know that, and you're not paying attention, you'll get confused on where they're talking about. Right now we are in concentrating, I think, mostly in Israel, and instead of saying from this year to this year, what they're doing is they're comparing the reign of that king to the reign of the king in Judea, because he's been there for so many years. And so that's where we are. The last one was Ahab, and he's been reigning in Israel. And we're going to go to chapter 17. Does somebody want to read it, or do you want me to read it?
Always.
Go ahead.
And Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, As the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Give thee hence and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith that is before Jordan. And it should be that thou shalt drink of the brook.
Okay, so hang on a minute. So let me put this in plain English so we understand what's happening. So Ahab, now let me just go back and refresh for you. In the 38th year of Asa the king of Judah, remember I said they were comparing one to the other. By the way, John says hi.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Ahab the son of Omri became king of Israel, and Ahab the son of Omri reigned over Israel 22 years. And it said, now Ahab, the son of Omri, did evil in the sight of the Lord more than all who were before him. And trust me, that was a lot. So one man did more evil in God's eyes than all the kings before. Okay?
This was Ahab.
Ahab, yep. So, now skip ahead a couple of paragraphs, the beginning of chapter 17, and then Elijah, we all know who Elijah is, said to Ahab, okay, now remember, God has tolerated all of these kings up to this point, and now Ahab just pours on the evil. So God talks to Ahab through Elijah, and he says, as the Lord God of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these 3 years, except at my word. So God is going to bring a drought in Israel. There's not even going, it's going to be so dry there's not even going to be dew. Then God turns to Elijah, who was the messenger, and says, get away from here and turn eastward and hide by the brook Cherith, which flows into the Jordan. And it will be that you shall drink from the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed you there. Now, why did God do that?
Was it because Ahab was created evil? Was it what had?
That's why he is bringing the drought on Israel. That's true. But why did God tell Elijah to get out of there?
Because God was going to take care of Elijah. And he can't be in that
And why
area.
is he going to take care of Elijah?
God,
He's faithful to Elijah's faithful to God.
There you go. Now, let's think about a couple of lessons that we can learn from that. If you look around the world and you look at the non-Christian countries, okay, and I'm going to tie this up at the end. The countries and the people in those countries usually directly reflect the leaders in that country. If the leaders are evil, the countries have problems. Shannon says hi.
Hi, Shannon.
I should.
So, like, if you look at, just pick a country. If the leader is evil and corrupt, the people in the country suffer. Now, that tends not to be true in Christian countries, and here's where I'm going to tie this up. Why is that? There is a reason, and it is true. And let me give you an example. Let me go overseas because I don't want to get into politics in this country, but pick any European country, okay? There is evil in every government. But the European countries tend to, out of the rest of the world, excluding the United States, tend to not be affected by that spiritual law. And there's a reason why. Christianity is about personal relationship with Jesus Christ. The rest of the religions are not. God has no way to control or punish. I mean, he does, but without proving a point. So the Christians in this country, we will suffer from national policies made by our political leaders. As an example, as Christians, and I'm not going to speak for all Christians, but for me, as a Christian male in this country, I find it to be very, very nasty place to live. Now, it's true we have freedom, but it's also true that abortions are legal. This country kills 300,000 plus babies a year. I find that despicable. Homosexual marriage is the law of the land. I find that despicable. I find that intolerable. But we suffer because of the policies of our leaders. But for us, for ourselves, because our leaders do not follow Jesus Christ, God does not bring a thing upon us because of that and totally destroy us or take us into captivity. And that's the difference. The rest of the countries where there is no Christianity, there is no personal relationship with Jesus Christ, the leaders, he judges the countries based on the leaders. And this is the concept right here. This is the law. God gave them the law. God's chosen people broke the law. The leaders broke the law. So the whole country passed. Remember when David sinned with Bathsheba? God put a blight on the land and people died until David went out and hurriedly bought an altar and bought the animals and made the sacrifice, and then God relented and let up. That's the law. Christianity is under grace. Okay? Verse 5.
So he went and did according unto the word of the Lord, for he went and dwelt by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening, and he drank at the brook.
Okay, so I was thinking about this one day. I was daydreaming out the window, and I noticed that these two blackbirds kept coming and going. So I started concentrating, and they had pulled down the aluminum siding on the building, and one bird would come in, and then the other bird would leave. And then the other bird would come in, and the other bird would leave. And what they were doing is they were going out and getting food. And this was an all-day process. They were feeding the babies, okay? And when I was watching that, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, okay, the average male, I don't know, is what? Even back then, what, 5'5", 5'8", something in that ballpark, because they tended to be smaller back then. So let's say 5'5". Anyways, I don't know, 170 pounds, average male. Do you know how much food you have to eat as a 170-pound male just to survive? How many birds do you think God brought in a day just to feed him? I mean, when those birds came in, they had little teeny pieces like this in their beak. That's amazing. Now, drinking out of the brook, I can get it. I don't know why the rest of the people didn't follow Elijah. Often wondered that. But enough food, God had those ravens carry enough food to feed an average sized male. That's amazing. Unless that was part of a miracle, like Jesus feeding 5,000 with a loaf of bread and 2 fishes, but still, it's amazing.
Verse 7.
Okay, go ahead.
And it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land.
Okay, so that eliminates the idea of the miracle happening.
And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Arise, get thee to Jericho,
Hi, Jim and Patty. I'm sorry, go ahead.
which belongeth to Jadon, and dwell there. Behold, I had commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. So he arose and went to Zarephath, and when he came to the gate of the city, behold, the widow woman was there gathering of sticks. And he called to her, and said, Fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel that I may drink. And as she was going to fetch it, he called to her and said, Bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thy hand.
Okay, hang on a minute. Okay. First off, that sounds a little presumptuous, right? I mean, he walks into a city, doesn't know anybody, finds a widow woman, and says, hey, give me a drink of water, and while you're at it, give me some bread. And think about the situation this widow woman's in. Widow means she's alone, which in that area meant she had nobody to take care of her. women didn't work. I mean, they worked around the house, but they had no income. And what they did have, she was scraping by. And so this guy comes in and says, hey, go get me a drink, and while you're at it, bring me some bread. They're in the middle of a drought. I mean, he's there because the brook that he was drinking of dried up. There is no water. Now, in a minute, we're going to find out a spiritual lesson, all right? But I want you to picture the situation this widow woman's in and what Elijah is doing. Okay, go ahead.
And
What verse are we in?
Verse 12.
Okay.
And she said, as the Lord thy God liveth, I have not a cake, but a handful of meal in a barrel, and a little oil in a cruse. And behold, I am gathering 2 sticks, that I may go in and dress it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die.
Okay. So this accentuates how bad it is. Okay. It's the middle of the drought. He says, go get me a glass of water and some bread. She says, I don't have any bread. In fact, I'm going to go take the last little bit of flour that I've got, mix it with a little oil for me and my son to share a little teeny biscuit, and then we're going to die. I got nothing for you. Okay? So that's the situation this widow woman is in. And her response to him when he says that. Verse 13, go ahead.
And Elijah said unto her, fear not, go and do as thou hast said, but make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it unto me.
Okay, I'll stop. Okay. So this guy is just unbelievably rude, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I'm gonna make this little pie and then we're gonna die. And he says, well, go do what you said, but make mine first. Bring me my water, my cake, like I told you, and make mine first. Now, picture yourself as that widow woman. What would you do? Especially if it's your son that's about to die.
Yeah, I would want to get my son fed first. He would come before anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be hard. That's a lot of faith.
What would you do?
My kid would have got fed first.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we all agree on that. So, okay, where did we leave off?
Let's see, what was that?
14, go to 14.
For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, the barrel of meal shall not rest, neither shall the cruse of oil fail, until the day that the Lord sendeth wind upon the earth.
Okay, so there's the promise. He said, give me mine first. Kind of rude. But then he says, if you do this, you will have enough flour and enough oil to last for the rest of the drought. You won't have to worry about anything. Does that change your opinion?
It'd still take a lot of faith to know that was what God was saying. Instead of, thinking he's some lunatic.
Mhm.
That says, oh yeah, right, okay.
What about, does it change your mind? Do you feed him first? What about you?
I guess I'll have to go around and do what the Lord said, because you gotta have faith. If you don't do it, you're not doing what the Lord tells you.
So is that a yes or a no? Do you change it? Do you feed him first, or do you feed your son first? Huh?
I'll have you said feed him first.
Okay, so the promise makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And
15. And she went and did according to the saying of Elijah. And she and he and her house did eat many days.
And the promise is fulfilled. Nice.
And the barrel of meal rested not, neither did the cruse of oil fail, according to the word of the Lord, which he spoke by Elijah. And it came to pass after these things, that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house,